Cooking at home.
Hello, I'm Elka Wilder from BohemianElk.com, and today we're making vegan bagels. And these are easily adapted to be non-vegan bagels, which I'll get to later. But first, to make the dough, the recipe is in the comments. It's really easy, super simple dough. And I make the dough the night before, so you don't have to sit around waiting for the dough to rise and time your day around all these different rises for the bread. So I just make the dough out of 5 cups unbleached flour, 2 cups whole wheat flour, a half a cup of vital wheat gluten, a tablespoon of yeast, dissolved into 4 cups of warm water, 1.5 tablespoons of salt, 2 or 3 tablespoons of sweetener. And I just mix that up really super easy, knead it a little bit just in the bowl, and then I stick it in the fridge and cover it with a plate, leave that overnight, and then the next morning the dough is risen and ready to form into these bagels. And most of the dough I've already formed into bagels to make this video really easy to watch. Just this last ball of dough, I'm going to show you how I made this. And instead of just like poking a hole right in the middle, like a lot of people do, you can make a bagel that way, and it's the easiest way to form one. But instead, what I do is I squeeze it into like a snake form and then curl it around my hand. And you might wonder what's the difference, but the bagel actually turns out higher looking and prettier if you do it that way, a more attractive looking bagel. All right, so now we're ready to boil the bagels. Okay, so I was about to boil these, but then I took a look at the formed bagels here, and I realized that this is a perfect opportunity to show you all the difference between a bagel that's ready to be boiled and a bagel that's sat a little bit too long in the kitchen and actually needs to be reformed before it goes into the water. Because what happens is, if you take a bagel like this, bagel dough like this that's been sitting too long, it rises too much and then it starts to flatten. And if you take this and put it in the boiling water, it's going to become a mushy mess and take a lot longer to bake. Okay, so what you can do right now is sprinkle a little more flour on the dough and work in just a little extra flour, and then make it into the snake. And there you go. Now it's ready for the water. It doesn't have to sit and rise anymore. It's ready right now. So we'll do that to all of these ones. These ones are good to go. The rest of these need to be reformed because they've just sat a little too long. So we're just going to deal with this super quick. That one's done. A little more flour in this baby. That one's done. And this one is done. So now we're ready for the boiling water. Oh, whoops, missed one. So what about me? Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't see you. Here we go. Yes, didn't you know that bagel dough talks? All right, here we go. All right, so here we are, boiling the bagels. You just pick one up, drop it in, and start counting. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I usually do this in my head though. 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 31, 32, 33, 34, 35, 36, 37, 38, 39, 40. And at 40, ones will start coming to the top of the water, and then I'm usually still counting out loud, but the way it usually works out is I can get them all out of the water by the time I get to 60. So I just quickly grab each one with a slotted spoon or whatever kind of thing you have. I once had this wonderful copper thing that was like wide, and you could like go like this with each bagel and shake the water off of it, but I don't have that right now, so I don't get to show you that fun trick, but this works pretty well, this slotted spoon, which is what most of you probably have in your kitchen. So, all right, so the bagels are now ready to decorate. So we're going to experiment with two different ways of attaching the topping. We've got a sesame seaweed topping that we're going to use, and I looked up a few different things online of how to do this, and some people suggest almond milk, other people suggest just taking the wet bagel and rolling it around in cornmeal. I'm going to do something, I'm going to use coconut milk as an experiment, and I'm also going to use flax mixed with water. So I'm going to do half of them with coconut milk. And you can just use your hand. Or you could use like a pastry brush if you prefer not to use your hand, but I think it's nice to give it that loving attention, get to pat each little bagel and be sweet to it. All right, so we've got those four, the coconut milk, and then we've got the ground flax. You just want to, I've never tried this, so I really don't know how it's going to turn out, but I think it's going to work all right. Just kind of work some of it in to make the top sticky. Even it out a little bit. This one needs a little more, that one needs a little less. Okay, and I'm just going to rinse my fingers real quick. And just get the topping on. I like to do the sesame seeds pretty generously. So one thing I just realized after I checked on the first tray of bagels that I put in the oven is that because I've never used an electric stove to make bagels before, I've never come into this problem. Maybe because the heat conducts differently in wood stoves, which is how I've made bagels in the past. And evidently, if you're using an electric stove, it seems really important halfway through the baking to get a nice sturdy spatula and do this, kind of unstick the bagel from the sheet. It's kind of difficult. And I did remember that some of those vegan bagel recipes that I looked at mentioned rolling the bagels in cornmeal once they come out of the water. So next time I'm going to try that, and I think that's probably a really good idea. Maybe it'll help keep them from sticking to the sheet this much, because this is kind of a lot of stick to deal with. But yeah, I did manage to kind of chisel them off the bottom, and then I'm going to put these back in the oven till the tops get browned. And the bottoms are brown already, so hopefully the bottoms don't get too overcooked. But yeah, I'm going to put this on here and put the new ones that we just got ready for the oven over the heat. And then after I unstick these, actually, you know what? I should put some cornmeal on the bottoms of these and maybe we'll get to avoid that problem, and that'll be a good test. All right, cornmeal. Here you are. Okay, so let's check that out. Let's put some cornmeal under each one of those and see if that helps the situation. Oh, that was excessive, but that's all right. Da, 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 da. Cornmeal wonderful thing. I really love when I make baguettes. I've commonly put cornmeal under baguettes, and it really does a nice thing to the crust. Uh-oh. Be quiet. Thank you. You need to be reset. Okay, so that's an excessive amount of cornmeal, but it's better than not enough, evidently. So this can go in the oven. And we'll see how that works. For keeping the bagels from sticking. All right, and then we just reset the oven. And yeah, you don't need to watch all that. All right, so here we have our baked bagels. Aren't they lovely? They're so pretty. The ones with the cornmeal under them were so much easier to get off the baking sheet. I barely had to tug at all, and they just like floated off. It was so nice. So yeah, do that. Use the cornmeal under them for sure. And I decided that the trouble of mixing up the flax egg, really didn't warrant, it really didn't turn out that much differently to use the coconut milk as the binding for the topping. So I would say go ahead with using some kind of milk, whether it's almond milk, coconut milk, whatever, soy milk, whatever you like to use. Or if you're non-vegan, you can use a beaten egg. That's what I usually use. But yeah, this is for you vegans out there. So anyway, these were baked at 375 degrees for 40 minutes. And I really prefer them a little like crunchy on the bottom and browned on top. But if you prefer yours a little less so, then you might want to do them for more like 35 minutes. So just check them out and at the 35 mark and taste one and see if it's how you like it. But to me, this is perfect. 375 at 40 minutes. So good. Yum. Oh, that's a bagel. Thank you so much for watching.